Hi guys, so got some stormy weather on its way in. I just heard a roll of thunder just over that way, but it's not all bad news. One of the great things about this time of year and this weather is it can make planting out seedlings really easy and just fantastically successful. So I planted out some lettuce seedlings earlier in the year and I planted them out in a row through here, and this is the only one that survived. I won't lie, I'm not the best at watering, particularly when it comes to things that have already been planted out. I like Mother Nature to do it for me if I can. I planted another load of lettuce since then while we've been having this weather, and as you can see, they've been far more successful. So today is a little bit of out with the old and in with the new, because what I'm going to be doing is taking out most, if not all, of our perpetual spinach back there. Now, this plant has been cropping for us for over a year now. For over a year we've been cropping from this plant, which has been phenomenal. It's been a phenomenal success. We've already got our plants down here to take over from it. I love the idea that we can use perpetual spinach and we can succession sow every 18 months. Isn't that amazing? But as you can see, some of this, or a lot of this now, is starting to go to seed. So we're going to pull it out because the leaves are getting a little bit bitter, but they'll make fantastic food for a lot of our animals, our guinea pigs, our tortoise, and of course the pigs and goats. So we're going to get rid of this now, and that's going to free up a nice chunk of space for me to plant in, which is space I, could really use at the moment. So I've left, as you can see, 4 plants at the back there that have shown no sign of wanting to run to seed. So we can carry on cropping those for another few weeks until the other plants are more established, if we want to. There's just, I don't see the need of pulling them up for no reason. I've also found one more lettuce right at the back there that managed to make it, so good for him. There were a few weeds up through there, but bear in mind I haven't weeded that section underneath that perpetual spinach for over a year, well over a year, and the only weeds I found in there were just a few stinging nettles, and they were having a pretty tough life. So just the use of them as a weed suppressant is, I think, fantastic. So I've mentioned several times that my plan is basically what I'm doing with this spinach is the same thing I will do with this chard later in the year, and at which point we're going to have planted more chard and spinach and plants like that, maybe some kale, as a barrier, a weed barrier around the outside of my bed to basically shade everything out and stop weeds ingressing onto the bed. It's an idea I really like, and obviously it'll take a few seasons to work out how successful it is. So there you go. But look, all this, none of it's going to waste. A massive amount of spinach through there, and it's all going to go to chickens, guinea pigs, goats, and they're going to love it. In fact, let's give a little bit to the hens right now. And you might have noticed I was using a machete, not a garden fork, because as always, my goal is to disturb the soil as little as possible. So I've basically just been hacking through it at ground level. The idea being the roots that are in there can just stay in there and they can rot in place, and all the nutrients that are in them can be returned directly to the soil. The other option is that you pull them out, compost them, and then return the nutrients back to the soil. Well, I don't see the need for those 3 or 4 additional steps in the middle, A, and B, by not disturbing the soil, obviously, I'm not disturbing the soil food web and all those microorganisms under there that have got a really delicate balance. So I'll make sure all the hens get their fair share, and of course, all the other animals, so that none of this will go to waste. Now, of course, we could eat this ourselves, but once it's run to seed or started running to seed, I think the flavour changes and it gets a little bit sour or a little bit more sour. Spinach isn't something my family love. It's not something, if I tell the children that we're having spinach tonight, they don't get excited and look forward to it. So it's not a crop that I really feel I need to eke out every last drop of, particularly when it's such an abundant crop. We've still got spinach that we harvested when it was in its prime in our freezer. So we're certainly not going without spinach. Well, I mean, you can see, just look at all this abundance here. I could easily fill 3 wheelbarrows with spinach just from what we've taken out today. Everybody loves spinach. The goats have already had some. I pulled some up earlier this morning. They had a good dose and there's the remnants of what's left. They'll finish that up, I'm sure. So I'm just going to pop the rest of it in our cart so that we can move it around to where it needs to go. Look at those roots. Do you want a bit more, girls? Just going to give a bit more to the goats. So I would guess that is about 30 kilograms of spinach in there. Now a lot of that weight is going to be, the stalk and stuff, but however you spin it, that's a hell of a lot of spinach. So perpetual spinach is a plant I could not recommend enough. If you're only going to grow one plant, I would consider that being the one. If you're only going to grow 5, definitely make perpetual spinach one of them, please. It's just a fantastic crop. So if you like your garden to be all pretty and in rows, like these rows of onions here, look away now, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just plant some mini blocks in between things that have succeeded and things that have failed in rows that I've already planted, along with I'm also going to avoid some volunteers from last year that I'm going to let be. So we've got here a small patch of volunteer potatoes. Now, I'm actually going to leave them with a really good reason. I got my main crop potatoes in a little bit late this year, and I know that these are main crop potatoes all through here. There's 1 or 2 volunteers at the back, and then there's these 3 or 4 here. I'm going to leave them because getting some early main crop potatoes is going to be really important to me this year. Now, obviously, I will make a note that I've done that, and if we get volunteers here next year, I won't leave them again because I don't want parasites and diseases to build up in the soil. But the only potato disease we've ever had here has been blight, and that won't have overwintered. It can't overwinter in the UK climate in the soil. It gets too cold. So I'm fairly confident, and the plants aren't showing signs of blight, so I don't think we have any disease issues here to worry about. And of course, we'll make sure that we don't get any because we won't put the same crop here next year. That's freed up quite a lot of space up through here. I might bring in just a little bit of compost to, as much as anything else, just to level out the ground where I've dug those, or where I've cut those spinach plants out. But as you can see, I've been really careful, or as careful as one can be, not to disturb the soil. I've just chopped them at ground level with a really big knife. So we've got all sorts ready to go in here. We've got lots more beetroot, radishes, lettuce, some more bush beans, and it's not going to take me long at all to fill this space. I'm feeling really happy about the garden now. Every time I walk past it, I see things just that little bit further on than they were before, and it's starting to look quite tidy. I've kept on top of the weeds pretty well this year. There's a few bits of grass coming up in this section here, but to be perfectly honest, that is all potatoes. They're going to crowd those out pretty well in no time. Next thing I'm going to do, and I said I was going to do this the other day but I didn't get round to it, is clear up these row covers, because we're definitely finished with those now. Get them saved for next year. Some of the plastic's not going to be reusable, but I'm going to use the arches again with just like a fleece or a hessian or something like that for next year. I'm actually quite excited about where we are. No, that's a lie. I'm ridiculously excited about where we are. It's I feel like the gun's gone off. We've been on the start line for so long this year with the weather, but the gun has gone off and we are on our first lap. It is an absolute marathon. There's loads of track ahead of us but we're definitely off the starting blocks and moving, and it just feels great. It just feels absolutely fantastic. Everywhere I look, I'm seeing success. There's failures mixed in with them, and I'm okay with that completely. Back there, can you make out at the back there the 2 rhubarb plants that were on the side of the road, free to a good home? Well, I've done my best to give them a good home, but they're coming on fantastically well. They're really looking healthy. This here is a massive goji berry plant. We've had it for 3 years now, not had a single berry off it. This is your last chance, son. This year is your last chance. We don't get any berries off that this year. It will be gone, I'm afraid. But like I say, I'm seeing successes. I'm seeing things coming up out the ground, and yeah, just really happy. And that's okay. It's okay to just be happy. So I'm going to get some of these things in now. I'm not sure where I'm going to start. Where shall I start? That's where I'll start. I'll start with these beetroot. These beetroot have been sown for the longest. They are definitely due to get out. So we've got some rows of beetroot already out here that we've actually lost quite a few of. So I think what we'll do, you see just right next to the path there is, or was, a row of beetroot, but I think we've had crows has been our thing this year, and they've come and taken quite a few. So I think I'm going to fill in the gaps now with some of these guys, and hopefully that'll work quite well. So I sowed these about the same time as these, but as you can see, the ones that we got planted out have got a massive head start, but that's okay. So I think what I'll do now is down through this row, as you can see, there's quite a few gaps. So we're going to fill them in now with some more of these plants. I suffer from bindweed in this bed, and it's a real pain, but I am weakening it slowly, and the best way I've found is literally just constant vigilance, pulling up. Obviously when you can, you get as much of the root out as possible, but when it's loads of young shoots like this, I've found you just need to pull up as much of it as you can see as soon as you see it. And it's another reason why I really like having these stepping stones, because it means I can put them on there and they're not going to root and they'll just dry out and die, because it's a real thug of a plant. The tiniest little bit will just repropagate, but it's costing the plant energy, you see, to send up those little shoots. So every time it does it, if I can pull those shoots off before they've had a chance to put that energy back into the plant through photosynthesis or whatever, then the plant is down. And if we keep doing that, we'll gradually weaken, deplete, and eventually kill the plant. That's the plan. So next up, I think, is to put a nice big block of leeks in. And we're going to do that just over there. I'm always really nervous about putting leeks in, because as soon as I put leeks in, I really struggle with weeding, because they're hard to tell apart from a lot of the weed shoots. But we need to get them in, so in they'll go. But I think that's probably going to wrap me up for this video. I will no doubt catch up with you guys really soon. In fact, as I'm speaking to you, I've just changed my mind. I think I might plant the leeks in between I don't know where I'm going to plant my leeks yet, so I'll tell you about it. So I'll let you know where I'm going to plant them next time when they're in. Could be anywhere. But I'm going to wrap this video up now and get in and have some tea, something to drink, and then hopefully I'll come back out to my leeks today. If not, it'll be tomorrow. But either way, I'll speak to you guys really soon. Don't forget to press that like button, press that subscribe button, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for coming round with me today. It's always a pleasure having you with me, and I'll speak to you really soon. Cheers. Bye bye.